Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Things That Matter with Marty McNabb. As many of you know, if you've been listening for a long time, for sure, I have been just fascinated with the stories that get attached to things. Obviously, you can see all the things behind me in my image for those of you watching on YouTube. So, hats, rolling pins, bags, aprons, mugs, t-shirts, and of course, photos. Everything has a story. And I just love inviting people to share the stories of the things that matter. So today I am delighted to have my guest, Susan Maycock, join me. And I had the wonderful pleasure of meeting her not directly, but indirectly, because as many of you might know, I am a personal historian or legacy artist. And I've been a member of groups of personal historians for many years. And I attended an event in Boston several years ago. I guess that was pre-COVID, right, Susan? Because it was in person, I was like, oh, okay. So that was, 2019 maybe. And I had the delight of seeing a good friend of mine who's a book designer. Her name is Robin. And she's been on my podcast too, but sadly she has since passed away. But she had this beautiful book that she wanted to show everyone. And she passed it around and we looked in it. And the minute I touched it, I was like, wow, I've got to get one of these. So that was the first thing. And then I learned more by reaching out to Susan, looking on her website, seeing this gorgeous book, which you'll see and hear more about as well. But that's how I met her, is basically through this beautifully designed, beautiful healing work, I would say, in the world. So we've had a pleasure of staying in touch ever since, but now's our time together to have Susan share an object, a thing that matters, and share its story. So I am going to let you take it away.
Okay.
Hi,
everybody. It's fun to be here with Marty. Yes. So my object is this bowl.
It's beautiful.
It's kind of important to see the story on the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
And the story inside.
Oh, wow.
So this is the bowl that I acquired early in my practice of shamanism. I was studying with a shaman and discovering my roots in that practice. And I needed a bowl for my sage, for burning sage. And I thought it was going to be a shell, because a lot of shamans use a shell for their sage. And so I had my eye out for it. And my husband and I were out one weekend. We lived in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and we were out traveling somewhere, or I don't know where, and we stopped at the San Ildefanso Pueblo and went into a shop where one of the clay artists had his work for sale. Beautiful bowls. And then sitting kind of, in a corner was this bowl. Looking just like this, with this chunk of clay out of it. And I looked at that bowl and I said, oh, that's my bowl. That's my bowl. And my husband was like, what? He was like, are you sure? And I said, oh my gosh, yes. I said, just look at it. It's the whole universe exploding here. It's like a black hole and stars forming. And this is really just a flawed piece of pottery that this artist made. And he just had it out there. I think he put it out there for me. Yes. I think at some level he knew I was coming, because this would not be something an artist would necessarily keep.
Right.
And it had this big chunk out of it that broke off in the kiln. And to me, it was like, whoops, my phone's ringing. To me, it was just the story of imperfection. It's like nothing's perfect. And things can actually get like pretty messed up. It's almost like the story of the trauma to this pot. I don't know. To me, it was like the story of life from the very beginning of the universe to now. And so I had to have it. And it
Yes.
became my sage pot. And
Oh, wow.
there it is. So, and it's been used to smudge so many people, myself very often, but so many people that I've worked with on their journeys. And it's just and it sits perfectly in the palm of my hand.
Oh,
And I can just use it to smudge with my feathers. And it's just been a precious object in my life. And also a reminder, it's solid, it's here, I can hold it. And yet its whole being is about impermanence and imperfection. And so I don't know, it just brings me, grounds me in life.
yeah.
And so that is my object.
Wow. That is beautiful. And I also, the minute you showed it to me, I was just like, because
Yeah.
like you said, to me, it's the imperfection. It's the
Yes.
isn't there a Chinese saying about like, having cracks and things, or,
Hmm.
or the light, like, and where things get, you know, um, bound together more, through
Hmm.
that. Yeah, it's just, yeah, it's stunning. It's really stunning.
Yeah, and it really is a part of Native culture too, to allow for imperfection. And the Navajos, when they weave their rugs, there's always something that's left unfinished.
Oh,
And we got a rug once, and we realized that there was a flaw in the rug, that like this one section just kind of came to an end. And we went back to the guy we bought it from, and we said, there's a problem with this rug. And he just got a case of the giggles. He just laughed and laughed, and he said, that's the whole point. He said that's how they're designed. And it was like, of course. And so, and I'm very much a perfectionist. So allowing imperfection has been a journey for me, and one that sometimes I'm pretty good at, and other times it's like, no, I want it to look better than that. That's not perfect. So I just get out my bowl and
Yeah,
say, I fell in love with imperfection.
right.
And I fell in love with impermanence. And I know that this bowl is fragile. I know that it wouldn't take much for it to fall apart.
Yeah,
And that would be okay.
yeah,
That would be okay.
yeah.
Um,
So much of
because,
the work. It's really
yeah,
your work. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, wow. Ah, that is so, I am so glad that you brought that and showed me. I think I remember you talking about being a shaman, but I don't think that it registered until you sharing it again today.
Hmm.
So then I was just like,
That is,
I know the important healing work you do in the world for sure, and through your book and through your photography, but I didn't think about the shaman aspect of it as well. So that's
well,
beautiful.
all of those things kind of came together in the course of my career.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
course of my life, they're one and the same. So,
yeah,
uh, yeah, they each inform the other.
yeah.
So,
It's like a evolution, beautiful evolution through.
yes, yes, yeah.
Wonderful. So I am, as I had mentioned before, that I
Mhm.
am always asking and curious of my story sharers to ask if they've considered what they would like to have happen with this object once they're gone.
Mhm.
And have you considered that, or?
Yes, and it's part of the same story. You can go back to the native peoples, indigenous peoples, and all over the world have traditions around the time of death of called the Great Giveaway, often called the Great Giveaway,
Mm,
and that again, they're not permanent. The things that they have used, they don't really own,
yeah,
because no one really owns them. And so they're gifted, they're gifted to those in their community, in their tribe, um, who would take them as remembrances and then pass them on again. And I see that for my objects. You see over here, there's a
I
lot more objects.
I do. I always this during COVID. My favorite thing was looking behind people in their little Hollywood square and think, I wonder what that story. Yes, there's all these
Yeah,
beautiful
yeah.
things.
And a lot of these are my sacred objects, and I I will gift them.
Yeah.
I will gift them, and or know that they will be gifted. And if there's no one that really wants this broken bowl because that doesn't call to them in some way, then I would like it gifted to the earth,
Yes.
to return to the earth. So
Ah, wow.
yeah,
It's beautiful. So,
so that's the plan.
and thank you for sharing that as far as the Native American and other cultures around the world who just as part of
Yeah,
the celebration of life, the
yeah,
homecoming or homegoing, they just have a area that they put out things. And I lost a dear friend, and I think that his family and immediate friends, took some of the special things per se before this, but when they had a big celebration of life, they had all of his things, and I went and got a hat that he used to wear. So
yeah,
I love that. Think about him every time I wear it and every time I see it. So uh,
yeah.
and it brings back good
That's cool.
memories. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So thanks for that reminder. And I know we've been like talking around the topic several times, but now's the time to share a little bit about what you're doing now in the world, how
Mhm.
my listeners or watchers can learn more about what you do, and obviously to share the beautiful book that I mentioned when I first
Oh,
introduced you.
sure. Okay.
So
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
take it from there.
Yeah. Well, for over 40 years, I have really been, for myself and others, a guide into self-discovery and empowerment. That's really what I do. And you can look at my sort of disparate career and say, oh, those are, how do all those fit together? And they all fit together because of that. And so I've been in the counseling field. I have studied the ancient healing traditions, including shamanism, and more contemporary alternative kinds of healing, craniosacral work.
Oh,
Really gotten into energy medicine and neuroscience, bringing the science and energetic components of healing together. And then somewhere in this whole process, really, it began with the shamanism taking me into the natural world and really taking me through the natural world. And I made so many discoveries, and I would write some of them down. And eventually I thought, oh, well, there's really enough here for a book, but I can't write a book. And apparently I could, because I did.
yes, you did.
I did. And this is the book, and it's called After Rain. And the title really comes from what happens in the desert. Any of you who have lived in the desert, you know, when there is a monsoonal rain, a huge downpour, it's a gift, you know, and every living being feels a sense of gratitude for that rain and feels a sense of abundance when it comes. So this is a book about abundance. It's about gratitude. It's about the natural world and all the lessons that it holds. And they're written in short narratives. They're my experiences in the natural world, or with making mistakes, or dealing with the loss of my mother, or meeting a wild coyote devouring a rabbit in the wild. You know, so I cover all kinds of territory.
Yes.
And in each one of these, there's a lesson, and each one is accompanied by one of my photographs. So, you know, it's profound. I got to tell you, I love my book. I wrote it.
Yes.
Now it's just about 4 years ago, I finished this book, and I can still pick it up and open it and say, you know, and make a discovery. And that's how a lot of people use it. After they've read it, they go back to it and say, okay, I need some help today. And they open to a page and they read something and go, oh,
Yes.
this page was for me today. And it's really been the kind of feedback I've gotten. But when I wrote it, it was written as a gift of gratitude for those I was grateful to in my life. And it was going to just be a gift of gratitude. And then it became my hope that others would buy it and gift it to someone else. And that gratitude would spread through the spreading of the book.
Absolutely.
And then as a result of the book too, I realized that I had more to say, and I was developing a language for talking about gratitude and compassion in a life greater than our own, and intention and awe and well-being, and being able to articulate those in a way that people could apply them and use them in very practical, simple ways in their lives. And as a result, have a profound aha experience as a result of a simple practice. So I started the Living Upward movement.
Awesome.
And yes, and I run a lot of different Living Upward experiences that people can participate in one time, or a 6-week series, or a 2-year series. I have one group that we're going on 3 years. And
awesome.
So there's a lot of learning going on, and there's now a journal that's being developed to accompany After Rain, which allows everybody to explore, again, really simple practices. Like, what does it mean to be generous? And we think, oh, we got to go give somebody something. What if we just consciously smile and look into somebody's eyes and say hello? Is that an act of generosity?
Absolutely.
And so it's like discovering that we can participate in life consciously with choice in ways that are so simple and yet have profound impact. So that's what the Living Upward movement's about. That's what the journal is going to be about.
Awesome.
And in November, I'm offering a retreat in Salida, Colorado, a 3-day immersion into the Living Upward experience. And we're going to tie it in with hikes in the wilderness and, you know, just settling in.
Wow.
And having, you know, an adventure. So if anybody's interested in that, you can get more information on my website, which is really simply susanmaycock.com.
Awesome.
You can also get the book there, and you can just learn more about the Living Upward movement. And
Wonderful.
I would
Uh,
love to see you there.
Wow. Wow. That sounds wonderful. As you know, my travel schedule is already complicated with having a long distance marriage. So, but I hope that you're going to, because I'm not I'm a little delayed in putting up my podcasts because it's a few weeks out. So I'm gonna see if I can move it around and have yours come out earlier. Um,
Be great.
so yeah, yeah, but I hope that the retreat idea is something that you might be doing, again and again, like it might be something that
I think it's a great way to experience living upward in an immersion experience
yeah.
and out in nature,
Yes.
as much as possible. And so
Yes.
yes, we will. And this one's
Awesome.
called the Spirit Path Retreat. And you can look
Wonderful.
it up on Eventbrite. You can look it up on my website. You can
Awesome.
check me out on Instagram too. I'm developing a page on Instagram, but it's offerings too. Like there'll
Um,
be definitions from my Living Upward dictionary, and there'll be quotes from the book. And so it's not just, hey, here I am. It's like, here's my offering to you.
right.
And so
Little
check me
gifts.
out on Instagram, and that's called Living Upward, that
That's
page.
one living upward. Okay, on
Yes.
Instagram.
Yeah.
All right. And
So
all of this will be in the show notes for sure. So,
great. Good.
yeah, wonderful. Well, I really appreciate having you be understanding of a little glitch this morning, and that we still made this happen. I
Yes.
really, really appreciate it. And I really I have to also say, like, it's really hard to like toot your own horn, but I do have to say, I will toot Susan's horn in terms of her book, without a doubt. With it, my mom, I gifted. You asked me, so I gifted one to my mother, and it's right next to her. Yeah, it's right next to
She
her
gifted
chair.
one too.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm not sure if who she gifted it to, but yes,
Good.
yeah. So and it's just I feel the same way. It's like it always draws me. I always kind of pick it up occasionally and just open it. And your photography is beautiful, and there's just something. It's something magical and healing. So it is it's a gift to the world for sure. So I'm glad that you push past that thought. I don't have anything to write about, or I'm not going to write a book. So many
I thought
people,
it was, yeah,
but it seems
yeah,
like the universe was saying, oh yes, you can.
yes,
So
yes. And I
you just
finally listened.
that's what we have to do, because it just keeps on showing up until we listen. So
Yeah. Do you want to end with me reading something from here?
that would be great. You can read a little something from it,
I'll
like,
just read a real short one.
yeah, and then I'll wrap it up. So yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Okay. Whoops. Need my glasses though to do this.
Oh, I believe me.
Okay. This is the photograph. Okay, that's a field of lavender in Provence, France. My husband and I had the good fortune of traveling in southern France at the height of the lavender season. Entire hillsides glimmered in purple hues all the way to the horizon. As we drove along, I wanted desperately to run into the fields. So we pulled over and jumped out, swept up in the magnificence of color and light. The cloud-dappled sky worked its magic, the light brightening and then deepening, the colors warming and cooling, the mood shifting from invigorating to calm and back again. We had become very still, suddenly less rushed to experience it all. What we were feeling was so intimate and at the same time overwhelmingly grand. The little concerns and cares that filled so much of our day had faded away. We could not recollect them had we tried. The abundance of lavender had thrown our senses wide open and hurled us into a state of wonder and awe. I felt less embodied and more deeply connected to this glorious expanse. It was unexplainable how we had become participants in something that was so much larger than just us. I felt somehow healed, free, opened up to all that life truly offers, and all because we were on a road trip, and then we stopped. Eventually, we got back in the car, and as we drove off, we wondered when we would experience such awe again. Maybe it was just around the bend.
Just around the bend. Yes. See, I'm glad that you suggested that, because you get it's just warms my heart listening to that. So I thank you. I thank you.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Yeah. Yes. So thanks everyone for watching and or listening to this episode of Things That Matter with Marty McNabb. And as many of you know, I host story sharing gatherings called Show and Tales, or Things That Matter, live, in person, and also virtual. I've kind of taken a little break from my virtual work right now to focus on some other ideas that popped into my brain. You know, those ideas. But it's all related. It's like that evolution of things. It's all, you know, it all's related, but it's a twist on something. So I'm super excited to share that, more information about that as it develops. But in the meantime, I will be back in New York City in early November, and I'm hosting 2 events. One is a Things That Matter event for my friend Vicki Noe, who is an author and wrote a book with the name that we had created for a workshop called What Our Friends Left Behind. So she lost about 18 friends during the pandemic, and I lost over 25. Needless to say, I hold on to photos and things that hold the story of my friends. And so we're inviting people to bring objects and things that their friends left behind as a way to honor their lives and to connect with one another, because I'm all about building deeper connections, community, and legacy. So check that out on my website, and I hope that you'll come back for another listen to my next guest, who I'm not really sure who that will be right at the moment. But I thank you again, Susan, for joining me, and have a great day, everyone.